especially in this space, a lot of times on a lot of high ticket accounts, you have the ability to like watch other closers and watch other call recordings. And I found for me pretty early on that while that was really helpful, it was also the fast track to getting in my head because I'd be like, these people are so much better than I am. Watching a good call of mine and a bad call of mine and studying myself was a better track to, to progress.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Closers Network podcast, where we dive deep with top performers in sales, business, and leadership. I'm your host, Mike Sadikian, and on this show, I bring you insights from the best in the game to help you level up and grow to become a top performer. Guys, I'm excited to reintroduce our guest who's been on the show before. He is probably one of the most positive people that I see within our organization. He wears many different hats, from coaching to sales and all sorts of things in between. So please help me welcome back the one, the only Mr. Micah. Micah, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me and for the warm welcome.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to have you back. I'm excited to see you down here next month. Hopefully you're coming down in May.
Yeah, can't wait.
Okay, cool. So for those of you guys that don't know, that maybe watched the show, we do have a yearly summit that we host down here in Southern California, guys, in Temecula. And so once a year we gather, we hang, we are in proximity with one another and get to kind of just hang out and have a great time. So hopefully you can make it down in person, and it sounds like you are, and hopefully I can get you back on the podcast in person. That would be really cool.
Dude, I would love to. I can't wait. Like every year this summit always happens at a time where there was like another book previously or another trip previously booked or something like that. So I'm super, super excited to be there this year. It's going to be awesome.
Let's go. All right, cool. Well, so I think, Michael, what I wanted to kind of, chat about today with you, man, is, you've been in the game. How long would you say you've been in the sales game now?
In the high ticket space, about 3 years. And then in, selling real estate, I sold some other fitness and stuff like that for some years beforehand, but definitely this space, about 3 years.
About 3 years. Okay, cool. So I'd love to know from you, even though you've had some sales experience coming into this thing, right? I would imagine maybe right out the gate, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. And maybe Micah had a little bit of kind of, I don't want to say necessarily even challenges, but potentially like shifts in the way you were doing things. Because I know I come from a real estate background. It's a little bit of a longer sales cycle, right? Things look a little bit different. It's more relationship based. It's not necessarily a one call close. So can you help us understand, like, man, transitioning into this space, what did things look like for you? Like, did you have success out the gate? If so, did you think it was maybe from like past experiences? Was it more so like having to make some adjustments and then finally you kind of see things changing for you? Or what did that look like for Micah? Because I know for every single person's different based on their background and experiences. I'd love to kind of understand what that looked like from you.
Yeah, man. I think like out of the gates, I think I struggled a little bit because I assumed that I would just be able to like use people skills to like relate to people and then, establish trust and then hopefully at the end of 30 minutes have them spending, multiple thousands of dollars just like that. So I think I was a little bit naive at the beginning, because I'd had some success in these longer plays, like you said, like real estate it is a relationship game. It's certainly not a one call close. And if anything, it's more about facilitation and relationships than it is about selling and closing. So I was not used to, building a deep relationship inside of 40 minutes, you know what I mean? At least enough relationships so that somebody trusted you enough to buy from you. So yeah, I think it was a little bit of a curve, just understanding like, wow, there's such a refined skill set involved in this that goes so far outside of just innate people skills. Yeah, it was a curve. That's for damn sure.
Help me understand. Was it just sets and reps for you to be able to make that adjustment, be able to dive in deeper, to be able to ask better questions, connect with people better? Was it just maybe like a mindset thing? Was it beliefs that you were holding at the time? Because some people think, well, I know, like I need to spend more time. I need to build this relationship. I need to become this person's like friend. And from my experience, I haven't found that to be true in high ticket personally. I think it's kind of the opposite. It's more of, you want to show up as the advisor, the professional, the person that knows what they're talking about and help people, guiding them, making a decision. So for you, what did that look like? Was it just making adjustments? Was it just getting feedback? Was it sets and reps? Was it a combination of it all?
It was. I mean, it really was a combination of it all. I think I needed the reps. I also needed the advice, you know what I mean? And the mentorship. Like it really was like I needed to truly learn how to effectively create urgency and how to effectively, pitch a program or product or service to somebody in a way that spoke directly to the things that they had spoken to, as opposed to just the things I thought were awesome. Yeah, and then I think the other thing is like, especially in this space, a lot of times on a lot of high ticket accounts, you have the ability to like watch other closers and watch other call recordings. And I found for me pretty early on that while that was really helpful to learn from other people, it was also the fast track to getting in my head because I'd be like, these people are so much better than I am, which is a good thing. But like if I was struggling, especially at the beginning, it was like the answer was not watching other people kill it. You know what I mean? Like I think what I found was that once I started to catch a little fire, if I would hit a slump, watching a good call of mine and a bad call of mine and studying myself was a better track to progress, so there's a lot of psychology, and I think negative self-talk that comes into the struggle of high ticket sales as well, and navigating that is tricky, that's for sure.
Well, so I'm glad you brought that up, man, because that's exactly what I want to get into, right? We have a pretty big sales agency. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of closers always getting onboarded, offboarded, right? The whole thing. What advice would you give to someone when it comes to specifically that, when, maybe they are stuck in their own head and maybe they are holding some bad patterns of beliefs or thoughts? What would you tell somebody like that? How did you do it? How did you help yourself get out of those kind of predicaments?
Yeah, for sure. That's something my wife, I mean, I've had a number of, metaphorical shakes of the shoulders from my wife when it comes to me, like being in my head. I think like what I found, and I think a lot of people probably have found this as well, is like when you're taking calls all day, every day, you live in that vortex, So when you're closing, there's adrenaline, there's serotonin, there's dopamine, like you're like top of the world because it's so fun. Like it is as fun to close a deal today as it was the first time I ever closed a deal. It's such a dopamine hit. It's so exciting. You're excited for the person on the other side. You're excited for you. It's really cool. But equally, when you're not closing, like I think it's really easy to let your entire worth get sucked into whether or not you're producing, and that's a dangerous road to walk naturally because there's so many other things that make us, good. So something my wife advised was to have like a hierarchical list of side work, essentially. So if I have a no-show or a cancellation or an afternoon where I'm not taking calls, what can I do that day to like create a sense of accomplishment so that even if sales didn't go my way that day, then when my head hit the pillow, I at least felt like I got some stuff done and created like an I can mentality and made some progress in something, whether it was something creative or something, helping around the house or whatever it was. I think that was very, very helpful just to kind of always instill a sense of accomplishment and not get stuck in the I am nothing if I'm not closing mentality,
Which is hard, which is definitely hard, but that's some great advice from your wife. And I think we talked a little bit about this last time you were on. But yeah, dude, I think that's powerful. Recently, I haven't been taking sales calls maybe for about a year because I've been more on the managing side of things, but I stepped in to take a few sales calls and I took about, 4 or 5 calls. I got a win in and, dude, it felt amazing. I had forgot about the feeling. I was like, oh, dang, like this, it did feel like the first time. And I was like, wow, like I want more of this. Right. And I started like wanting to have fun on my calls, take more calls all of a sudden. And then it's just like, you take a couple calls, you don't close, you get in your head again. I'm like, oh man. But I love what you're saying about, having other hierarchical like activities that you can have that sense of accomplishment, right? Get those wins because Man, I always say like sales is a mindset sport, right? And it's sometimes challenging. It's sometimes challenging, and um, I know people get caught up of like, I need to change this or I need to change that and I need to do this and I need to do that, where it's like, hey, sometimes you just have to stick to what you're doing, right? And have the same conversation. Definitely, I love what you're saying about go back and watch the game tape footage, right? Go back and look at the worst games I've had, the best games I've had. What did I do when I was winning in the best things? And how was I showing up when maybe I wasn't getting those wins? And what did that look like? Is there any specific tangible thing you look for like in your calls? Is it just like how you were showing up? Was I sticking to the framework? Is there anything like you can kind of give any insight on that end?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think like usually it's like the nuances that you pick up. Like if I were to watch a loss and a win side by side, the things I'm going to be able to pick up are rarely what I say, rather how I say them. So like, body language,
Gotta drop it for that one.
I would like, I have like for a little while I was standing up and I like on my calls. Now I sit, and I don't really know why I changed, because I think I was better when I was standing up. Maybe I just have bad knees and getting old, but like ultimately like the body language involved with like being able to stand up, I would like change my footing, like all this stuff. And you realize like people typically are not buying a product or a program. They're buying a belief system. They're buying your energy. They're buying your encouragement and your advocacy of them. And if you can bring more energy, not like outside of personality energy, you can't be someone you're not, but if you can bring that tonality and bring that energy, I think the thing that I always remind myself and remind the people I coach is like, if the product or program was the only thing that was getting them to buy it, then salespeople wouldn't have jobs. Every business owner would just slap all the information and the price tag on their website and people would buy it, right?
That's right.
But ultimately, people require our confidence in them to borrow. People require our energy and our conviction in order to get out of their own way or to make a decision, even if it's scary, because of a belief system that it actually could change their life, and we can sell better if we actually believe that for them. So ultimately, what I will typically detect, to answer your question, is something in the energy, something in my body language, my tonality, that type of thing that is the difference maker between wins and losses.
Dude, that's so freaking powerful, because I've been wanting to share this and I don't know why. I maybe just never had the opportunity to. But I've noticed that whether I'm coaching, whether I'm taking sales calls, when I'm using my stand-up desk, dude, it makes a huge difference in how you're showing up and how you're expressing yourself, the energy, right? The tone, the facial expressions, the body language, like all of it. And I've been in a pattern of sitting down too. And maybe I don't necessarily feel the knees yet, but my back starts feeling it a little bit. And so I start tending to sit down. But I realize, dude, like when you're standing up, like when I'm conducting the morning meetings on my stand-up desk, on my treadmill, or just standing up, totally different energy than if I'm just sitting down, right? And it does make a difference, dude. It makes actually a massive difference. Have I brought the thunder and the energy sitting down? Sure, but it's like more often than not I don't, and more often than not I do standing up, if that makes sense, right? And there's definitely some truth and some power to be said in that, dude. What I'm hearing you say is, okay, hey, dude, it's the belief system that they're essentially buying. That's really powerful, right? And Jeb Blount wrote a book called People Buy You. And to your point, I think it's like, dude, if it was your product or service, they would have just bought. Why don't they just go buy? And I think tons of influencers have tested that model in the past before, and nothing really over maybe $1,500, $2,000 really sells without a warm body on the other end, right? And otherwise, to your point, like everyone would do it. So on that note, is there any practices that you do, like a pre-call, to be able to now get yourself in that kind of an energy or a mindset of like, hey, I'm going to show up this way? Is there anything like that? Anything that you do on your end?
Yeah, I mean, so a mentor told me once that, like, in sales, there's all kinds of rhetoric about like, why do we do it? Like, why do we get into sales? And some people would argue it's also so you can make money, and other people would argue it's so that you can help people. I think that it can and should be both, of course. Like, we want to help people. We also want to make a living.
Let's go.
There you go. We got to make that money.
So, but like the number one thing that he advised was, bigger than either of those is to understand people. Like if you can come into every sales call with your number one goal, not being make money, not being help them, but understand them, then you will be closing more, and you'll be setting up a scenario and setting up a relationship within a very condensed period of time where people do trust you enough to let you help them. So I think keeping that in mind always, like every single call I come into, I think, okay, my number one responsibility to this person is to understand them, the way they want to be communicated with, the things that need empathy, the things that need curiosity. Like, it's so funny, like working with new closers, it's really easy to memorize a script or a framework, but like, what about the other stuff? What about the being so prepared that you can pivot? What about, if you ask somebody, what's been going on the last couple of years as kind of an obstacle between them and their goal, and they tell you that they suffered a really serious loss in their family, and then you just jump right to the next question because it's what's on your script. Like, oh my gosh, like now not only is it an interrogation, but this person completely lost trust in you. So how do we bring this human quality? How do we empathize? How do we connect? How do we really, really build a relationship in a tight period of time? And I think it all comes down to that. If my number one goal is to understand, then you're closing more and you're helping more people, and therefore you're making more money in the process. So
I love that, man.
really
I've been preaching that a lot lately, is seek first to understand and then be understood. Mm-hmm. And I've been saying it almost like a broken alarm clock, just nonstop. But man, that's really powerful, dude. And there's something to be said about how you show up, because you help coach and train a lot of people. A lot of people look up to you. A lot of people DM me about you. You DM me. I have to shout you out, dude. I don't know anybody out of like 600 people that just reaches out to just check in and give like a little, like, I don't even know what I would call it, just great energy on the other end, right? It's like, hey man, hope everything's going well. Hope your week's off to a great start. Like those little things, man. And it's like 99% of people don't do it, including sometimes myself. I get inspired, just so you know, every time you send me one of those messages, I'm like, I gotta be like more like Micah. I gotta be more like I always tell myself this. And it's like, you're not looking for something. You're not looking for an exchange. You're just doing it just to do it. And it's freaking cool, man. And it's like, just that extra time you take out of your day goes such a long way for other people on the other end. Is that like, were you always like that? Was that something that you learned? Where did that come from? And I want to get into coaching after this.
Oh, dude, well, that makes me feel really good that it makes you feel that way, man. So
100%. I love getting those messages.
I also happen to really like you in general.
Okay.
And I lost the middle finger emoji on my keyboard isn't working right now, so I'm just sending you nice stuff instead. Yeah, man. You know what? I think oddly enough, like I think that I've always had like coach kind of like in my blood. Like I went to school to be a teacher. I went to get my get my master's degree in education. I very quickly decided that I didn't want to do that. In fact, I think I decided during school that I didn't want to do it. But I always knew, like, it's so funny. I remember this powwow that I had with my parents. I was sitting on their bed. They're like, what do you want to do? I was like a junior in high school. They're like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I have no idea, other than I know that I want to lead and I know I want to inspire. And in my very narrow scope, then it was like, well, I would be a teacher, you know what I mean? And then that led way to being a coach and led way to being a personal trainer. And finally now, in a space, in a venue that I really, really love and really respect, I get to be a coach and a teacher here. So I feel like I've really found home. Like, I'm so honored to be doing this in this space. So I think it's always been kind of in me to want to do that. And then of course the self-serving part of it is like, it makes me feel good when I do that. And it makes me feel better when I'm struggling. I think like checking in on your people and acts of service in that respect, even if it's as simple as a message, that's another way to get yourself out of the trench. You know what I mean? Like, I help myself to stay out of my own head, and I help myself to stay positive for me if I am in support of others. So I think it's both. I do want to help. I do want to make people feel good. And in doing that, it happens to make me feel good as well.
So is that one of your higher value activities? If you have that no-show, for example, that would that be one of those things?
100%. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's actually really funny. Like, speaking of hierarchies, like, I remember having a conversation with you, and I talked to a couple of other people in leadership on these teams when I first kind of started moving more into leadership roles and closing less, I was having a really hard time like reconciling my bandwidth. Like the hours in the day, it was manageable. It was a lot, but it was manageable. What I was having a hard time with was I was taking all of it home. So
Okay.
like if I was in my head about the way I had like taught something or like um the way I had responded to somebody's role play or something like that, I would bring that home with me. And then also if I like got hit with spouse objections all afternoon on my sales call that I couldn't break, I would bring that home with me.
Mm,
And now if one of my big goals in life is to be as present as possible with my family, but I'm bringing all of work home with me, like that's not sustainable. That does not work. So I think I like kind of forced myself to figure out this way to like care more about the things that matter more. So like at this point in my sales career, I should not be bringing it home with me if I have a frustrating sales day because I know this happens. I also know that I can get myself out of it because I've done it before. Um, so if I know that I care more about leadership and I care more about coaching and I care more about that part of my career path, then that's what I should think about in the off time. So like I think that there had to be some like mental emotional sorting as well to like force myself to care more about the thing that matters more and care less about the thing that doesn't matter as much. So yes, to answer your question, and now that I've gone to New York by way of China, but with this answer, I think like yeah, absolutely. If I know that this is one of these high value things that I can do for me and hopefully to inspire other people, then like if I have a no show, it's like, okay, I'm going to take 10 minutes and I'm going to go up the leaderboard and I'm going to comment on people's wins. And
mm.
then I'm going to reach out to a couple people who I've been thinking about just to check in with them and see how they're doing. That actually is a sanctioned activity, genuine as it is. It is something that I schedule in because I know that hopefully it can help them and it certainly helps me.
I love it, man. That's powerful. And I got to start doing a better job implementing leaving. I'm going to take what you said to heart, which is make the more important thing the more important thing, sort of, is kind of what I gathered from that. And family's the more important thing. And so when I'm with the family, I'm going to try not to bring work. I'm going to think of you because I there's been moments where I've really had control over that, but I think probably with a little bit of overwhelm and more responsibilities and more leadership, more people to manage, more people reaching out, it's like hard, like for it to not bleed in, into the time that I'm spending with the family because the Slack's going off 300 plus messages a day. What's important, what can wait, that whole thing. So it's like I gotta let go, and I just have to woo-saw a little bit, and I'm just gonna remember what you just said, which is I'm gonna make the more important thing the important thing, and realize like that's what matters, and I can go back to work tomorrow and take care of everything else that's there.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's powerful. One more thing I want to talk about, and I know you're coming down next month, and so hopefully we'll see you down here, and we'll continue this conversation. But really, I just want more so it's a shout out, not even like a question, more so just a comment and a shout out to you, dude. I know you help coach for real training for Bradley, and you're one of the coaches on there. And honestly, the coach that I think gets the most feedback from the community, from the group. People always say, like, dude, just the way Micah explained things, the way he breaks it down, his energy, how he says it, right? It's so powerful. And so I just wanted to give you a shout out, dude, let you know that you may not know this, or you may know this, but you may really not know, like, the actual amount of people that reach out and comment about you is significant. It's probably like on a day-to-day basis, not just on like a week-to-week basis. So shout out to you, man. I appreciate you a ton. I think, I wish there was definitely, more people that would embody that, including myself. And so you inspire me to do a better job all around. And so you kind of hold me accountable in a sense. When I see that, I'm like, I need to step up. I need to do better. Right. I got to improve. I got to continue bettering myself. I gotta put more work in. I got to do X, Y, or Z. And so I just really wanted to shout you out, man, and say you're changing lives. You're impacting lives. People are looking up to you. They're always commenting about you. And I just want you to know that. So that's all.
Dude, thank you. I mean, that makes me feel so extremely good. And to throw one back your way. I mean, the reality is like I learned how to sell and I learned how to lead in the selling space from you guys. You know what
Mm,
I mean? So you guys set the tone, and I'm just following your lead. So I really appreciate you saying that, man. Thank you.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we got Micah in the house. Micah, thanks so much, dude. I know it's Sunday, and I appreciate you making the time to do this, dude. And I know your time's valuable, and it's it's Sunday, so I got some plans after this too, and I'm looking forward to having you back on, dude. I appreciate you a ton, and we'll do it again, dude. I'll see you in person here pretty soon.
Dude, it was a blast, man. I appreciate you. Thanks so much for having me.
You got it, brother. We'll talk soon. All right, guys. Peace out. We'll see you on the next episode.